Thank you for attending the first ever Natural Stone Institute Stone World Virtual Stone Summit. We are really excited about this event as we have registrants from across the country and the world. In addition to the United States and Canada, we have participants from Turkey, Nigeria, Brazil, Portugal, India, and Oman. One thing we always try to do is provide unique experiences for the stone industry. During this virtual event, we will have a number of unique features. Some of the features include an active chat box with links to different products and different things that we talk about during the day, opportunities to ask questions through a question box, and a virtual trade show where you can connect directly with sponsors in a virtual format. Before we get started, we wanted to direct you to the chat box on your screen. During our discussion, we will provide additional information and links about topics we discuss. You will also find information about our sponsors and our virtual trade show. The trade show will take place immediately after day 1 of the Stone Summit and prior to day 2 of the Stone Summit. If you connect with any of the sponsors, we will buy your first cup of coffee. If you are calling into the session, we want to caution you, you may not hear all the videos we play. However, you will receive a recording of all the videos after the session, and you will hear all the recordings at that point. Without further ado, I would like to introduce today's moderator, Gk Nakhan. Gk started in the stone industry in 1974 when he joined a startup company, Intrepid Enterprises. He served as the CFO for Intrepid Enterprises for 25 years before starting his own company, Stone Interiors, in 1997. GK has been an active member of the Natural Stone Institute since 2003 and served as the board president in 2011. His passion for bettering the industry can be found in his involvement in the accreditation and education programs. In the past 12 years, GK has facilitated over 40 stone industry education events and at least 50 other sessions at international trade shows. Please welcome Gk Nakhan.
Wow, what a great intro. Thanks everybody for attending, and we'll go ahead and get involved in starting the topics. Today we're going to talk about, if you look at your screen, the risk assessments and some business threats to us. There are 3 basic sessions there: the COVID financial planning, with the PPPs, the human resource in our facilities, and then new ways to reach customers. How do we sell? What are some of the aspects we have for COVID going forward? And what I'd like to make sure that we do is, this is an interactive class via the question box. We are monitoring it, and we will if we're able to have time to answer those questions while we're in this particular topic, we will. If not, we have a 20-minute question and answer session right after our presentation that will try to get to all of the questions that you may have. Obviously, we're going to touch on a few sections of these aspects, but there'll probably be a lot of questions that we will create, and hopefully that you will create, to help this seminar go forward. It is a participation seminar, so please make sure you send us your questions. At this time, we want to make sure that we have some communications. So we're going to go to one of our sponsors, or our host sponsor today is MSI International. And Aaron, I think you're ready to go to that side.
MSI is North America's largest independent source of flooring, wall and countertop surfaces, with over $1 billion in sales and 1,800 employees worldwide. We enable people to create beautiful living and working spaces at any budget by partnering with global suppliers from over 36 countries to import over 50,000 containers annually. and making the greatest assortment of products accessible to everyone. We are the go-to source for all surfacing products, from everyday basics to the most design-forward trends, including porcelain and ceramic tile, quartz and natural stone slabs, mosaics, wall tile, and LVT. Our expansive network of showrooms and distribution centers featuring over 125 million square feet of inventory and 5,000 stocking SKUs, along with our nationwide fleet of over 150 MSI trucks, deliver regional and national inventory to get you what you need when you need it.
MSI is a game changer and innovator in the surfacing industry.
Our purpose is to make dream surfaces attainable, and that means to make dream surfaces available to everyone in North America.
You can rely on MSI for the greatest assortment of affordable products with accessible inventory and attentive service, delivering on our goal of making dream surfaces attainable.
The MSI advantage for our customers is we're there for a long term, which means they can count on us to grow their business.
When we look at the future of MSI, we think the future is very bright. Every day is a new day with new challenges, and we want to take them head on. So it's a tremendous opportunity.
We work hard every day to make our products affordable and accessible.
MSI is future-focused, continuously searching the globe for the greatest range of quality products that fit within all price points, allowing anyone to make their dreams attainable. MSI, making dream surfaces attainable.
Okay, I guess we're back now. And what we'd like to do now is introduce our panel. We've got a great panel today. I know all three of them personally, and they run extremely good facilities. Jeffrey, would you like to go ahead and start off with your introductions?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Jeffrey Gran. I'm the co-owner of the Countertop Factory Midwest. We are based just outside of Chicago and serve all of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and northwest Indiana. And I really appreciate being on the panel.
Great. Laura.
Yes, thank you so much, GK. I'm Laura Gran-Lenard, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. We are more of a boutique shop here, and we are accredited by the Natural Stone Institute. We also work as silica-free, doing everything with water reclamation system, and we are just very honored to be part of the panel with you today.
Thank you, Laura. Blake? Blake, you're not coming through. Jeffrey, can you hear Blake?
I cannot.
Okay, we had our first little. Okay, Blake, would you mind checking into your voice, and when you do get it, just keep talking, and we'll continue on with the panel. Okay. All right. Just jump in when you're able to get back in. Can you hear us now, Blake? Okay. All right. The next thing we want to do is we're going to do a poll. What we're doing in the poll questions, if everybody will look on their screen right now, the first poll is have you received your PPP loan? We're going to take about a minute right now for you to go ahead and click on there, and that'll give us an idea of how many participants have actually been involved in the PPP loan program. We'll talk a little bit later about the EIDL. Okay, Blake, you're back? Blake, are you there?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Blake, go ahead. Why don't you introduce yourself while we have the PPP survey going on?
So really quick, Blake Christensen, Valley View Granite, Northern Utah. I started in California. We have 7 locations, a little over 100 employees. We're excited to be here.
Great, thanks, Blake. I appreciate it, and thanks for getting that audio fixed for us. But anyway, the question that we're looking at right now is the PPP, and very shortly we have our responses. So if you look at your screen right now, you'll notice that 67% of all of the fabricators and participants on the line have applied for the PPP, and 37% have it. And we're going to go into our panel in just a second and talk about how it's structured, what we've done with it, and the process in which maybe you can benefit from it or choose not to participate in it. So that's thanks for participating in the poll. We will have several polls as we go through each of the questions going forward, and we'll have the results instantaneously, just like you saw there. It'll help us go forward. What we're looking at now, or the first sections that we're looking at, is the financial challenges of the PPP. One of the things that we did very early in our companies at Stone Interiors was file for the PPP. The main reason for filing for that PPP was that we had and have no idea how our business or how the industry was going to react. Thank goodness that most of our states have classified our industry as essential products. So most of the companies didn't have to shut down, but we needed to make sure that we were a stable company going forward, that we could protect our employees and continue to pay the salaries if our volume went down. So we filed for the PPP loan immediately. We were approved for it and had our funds funded to us. And therefore, we had very few to no layoffs in any of our companies up front. So, I encourage people to look at it. What we'd like to do right now is, if I would like to turn it over and get the responses from the other panelists and their experiences on that. So, what we'd like to do is go to Laura first, if you wouldn't mind sharing, Laura.
In order
Okay,
during
Laura.
anxiety.
Good, gotcha.
Can you hear? Okay, great. Obviously, this was a global situation where all of us were confronted with the unknown, high anxiety. And so the relationships I had with our bankers, actually, I had two banks come to me and really be encouraging us to apply. And so we did, and once it was approved, we had the money in our account within 3 days. But it was really more for a precautionary, not knowing, and we still don't know till the fourth quarter how things are, but it really helped us based on that banker relationship. So it was really, the process was quite, was seamless basically. And as far as the forgiveness process, the state is still trying to work through that.
Thank you, Laura. Jeffrey, how did y'all handle it?
So I want to clarify this by saying, and I think we all can agree that this business is difficult. And historically, governments aren't usually helping small businesses. So when the PPP program came out, I, along with other people, I was shouting it to everybody I possibly could that owned a business to go ahead and apply for it, which of course we did. I find it interesting that 67% of the people on this call applied for it. I will tell you that as of 2 weeks ago, there was still about $130 billion available in the PPP, and that extends to August 8th. So any of you that are on this call that haven't applied, there's still time. I think it was a big lifeline for many companies, and as Laura mentioned, we're not really sure what's going to happen over the next 6 to 9 to 12 months, and you need to be preparing yourself to have cash available and to be able to have lines of credit and PPP money available so that you can survive if this COVID-19 takes another turn for worse.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Blake?
Can everyone hear me okay now?
Yep.
Perfect. I would agree with Jeffrey that the more liquidity and the more cash you have available, the greater choices and chances of surviving this you're going to have. we took advantage of the PPP money and are navigating the forgiveness right now. It influenced some of our decisions as far as but mainly I think the biggest thing moving forward is being able to react as fast as you can so that we can weather this and survive this.
Great. One of the things, thanks, Brett. One of the things that I've looked at over the period of time is why look for the PPP and why look for vendor relations and building financial resources. And we'll talk about a little bit of those right now too. But one of the things that we need to do is be savvy with our financial challenges coming up, because in our situation, the month of March and April, our volume dropped. Our incoming orders dropped considerably. And from what I've heard from other fabricators, between 30 and 65%, they had a drop in those months. But since then, our volume is back up to target and even greater than target. So it gives me maybe a false sense of security that it's going to stay that high all the way through. But we're in the middle of if everybody looks at TV, hopefully not too much, believe me, but if you look at TV, we're in the middle of a lot of things going on right now in our world that may affect consumer confidence as we go forward. So what I'm looking at is how do we keep ourselves flush and survive? In 2009, we were all hit pretty quickly with a downfall in a lot of companies. We lost thousands of fabricators in 2009. Hopefully with these type of events and other events, we can prepare our fabricators to at least be cautious about where we're going forward with it, So one of the things that we want to make sure we do is build some cash financial reserves in our bank, in our companies, okay? The PPP has a part of that. The EIDL, I think it's called, loan is another major part of that I recommend everybody apply for. And then one of the other things we did personally in our company is where we went to our bank and tried to we refinanced our hard assets. Number one, we got a lower rate. We got forgiven for premium for a period of time, and we were able to get some additional cash out of our assets so that we can be cash flush, that we don't have to be worried about if we have to lay people off or if we have to stop production or any of those aspects. Laura, did you mentioned that you met with your banks? Did you have it? What type of relationship in that did you have?
Yes, I had a very positive experience that immediately when this was all going on and applying for looking at the different aspects of what were available to our business, we even looked, and the bankers were the property that I have a mortgage on is our facility, and they were actually offered, based on your good client, how your standing is, that they offered a 6-month deferral. They asked for anywhere 6 months at a minimum, which I thought that was right there, a bank willing to work with you. And I think what you find, really I'd like to advocate is that really reach out to the people that are close to you, your bankers, your CPA, get them involved, because there are maybe some programs within your areas that local cities are offering grants. Of course, in our area, it's a little more limited that I've learned, but it's been a real good, experience for us.
Right. Jeff, you got something quickly on that too?
Yeah, I think echo what Laura's saying. I think both your financial institutions and your vendors, you need to have great relationships with them, certainly during a pandemic, but this also tells you that you need to have it in a pre and a post environment as well, because they are your true partners. And MSI and Dalton, all some of the amazing vendors that are out there, if you're just coming to them now and asking for help, that could be a challenge. This allows you to have relationships with them from the beginning, and then it helps you kind of smooth things out. And I think we did some of the very same things, kind of refinancing some of our debt that we have. Debt is okay to have, but money continues to get cheaper. And so if you were paying 5% and now you can get it for 3.5%, you should go do that. That's just smart money.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that's been said. This is how we survive this. Debt is not a bad thing, but anytime you can reduce the amount of interest you're paying is a smart thing. There's two types of people in the world: those that pay interest and those that collect. But the less interest we can pay on that debt, obviously, is much better. We did the same thing. We followed the same where we're refinancing some of that long-term debt, trying to get as much cash as we possibly can to weather this.
Right. Okay, thanks. What we're going to do right now is take another commercial, and I'd like to introduce FlexJet and Brand Quartz. And Aaron, if you wouldn't mind queuing that up for us, I'd appreciate it. Are we back yet, Aaron?
Let me go ahead and get
Yes, we are.
over to the entrance right now, rather than have.
If somebody's got a phone on? Okay, Jeff. Hey, Aaron, I don't know if we're going to put this on. Right now, we're going to do another poll question, and I'd like everybody, Aaron's got it up. It's the best way to describe your company. Basically, in a human resource side, have we kept all of our employees, or did we furlough employees and bring them back? And then furlough employees and brought some back, and then we've laid off a lot of people. This poll question is kind of interesting because it'll give us an idea of our industry, how we're adapting to the COVID and the situation where volume is increasing for many companies across the company that we talk to. Please remember to, if you have any questions so far, to go to the question box and send those in. Mark is monitoring that and sending us information as we go, and we'll cut in if we have some. The situation that we're looking at, we've had a good, oh, look at this. So we got 60% of the people kept all of their employees, 23% furloughed, 17% brought some back, and then we laid off employees 0. That's real interesting. That's a good comment because we're keeping all employees, 60% of the company. Now, what we're looking at is we have come into a situation where we liked to, in our company, we took the opportunity to look at where we were and how we're selling and how we're handling our facilities. And we did a little bit of cross training and repositioning of staff to meet not only their personal needs, as some employees needed to be home with their children or other things. So we went to, some people did 4-day weeks, some people did different types of adjusting in our company due to the pandemic and the COVID changes that we were having. But it gave us the opportunity to look at our company staffing and changes. And I think we've done a really good job of keeping our full staff and being able to handle those situations that come up on a day-to-day basis better. Not only with technology, we changed some positions, and I think it's working real well for us. Let's go to Jeffrey and see how, can you give us a little bit of what you guys did with human resource?
So our business, we service a lot of the box store business. Our commercial and new construction remained strong, but our box store business got hit. So we had to lay off about 25% of our staff. And I'm very happy to say that we brought back 60% of those folks. And every week, gets a little bit better. Being in Chicago, third largest city in the country, COVID-19 hit us pretty hard. But every week we get better and better. But what I will tell you is that, I'm a guy that's the glass half full, and you have to take a look at every situation and come out with the positives. And so we've had a chance to evaluate everybody. And I think, GK, kind of like you were saying, we're taking a look at all the positions that we had, making sure that they were appropriate. Did we have the right people sitting in the right roles? And we're making some changes so that when we come back and get back to our normal volumes, we might have different people sitting in different roles.
Great. Jeffrey, how about, employee knowledge base? I mean, is that something that y'all have been working on?
Yeah, I think for us, we always like to have duplicity. We always like to be cross-training everybody. I think a big thing for us is we tell our management team, always be looking out for great employees, always be interviewing, right? You may not have a need today, but you always need to be looking for the next person to come and be part of your team. And sometimes you have those folks within your own organization, just have to give them a chance, but you have to expose them to different parts of your business.
Right. Thank you. Blake, can you, how did y'all handle this situation?
So we didn't lay anybody off. We kept all of our staff. We actually use a lot of subcontractors where we can, but we also use a lot of temp agencies to find qualified candidates. We actually also doubled down on our employee incentive for referring future and potential candidates, and we incentivize our existing employees for a referral of a candidate, and increase that a little bit. The other thing that we try to do from an operational perspective strategically is, again, you hope for the worst, but you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, and staying extremely optimistic. But we've really accelerated our team performance commission structure, and really tried to put the performance on, and really fine tuning our scorecards and things like that. Staff-wise, that's I think COVID just really pushed a lot of these projects we had going in the background, and just really accelerated the timelines on them, making it very, very vital that, hey, we've got to get these metrics in place. We've got to get some of these different, how we handle our rework, remake, how we handle our breakage and things like that under control. And it just really made, like I say, department scorecards extremely valuable and extremely critical at this time. So.
Thanks, Blake. Laura.
Yes. Again, process improvement is a constant, I think, within every organization. And what it enabled us, we actually brought, our team has always been cross-skilled, so that, we're a small group of 18. So it's really important, if someone's out ill, the next person has to step it up. But what this whole pandemic happened, because it cost us all, a little unexpected and unplanned, is that we actually involved the whole company, from accounting, our sales team. I'm the backup to the shop manager in ordering all equipment, and so I know the equipment pretty well. What we're low on is just like a good cross-check. But what we did is we brought in our sales team to actually do the inventory of all the equipment. And what it did, it was the powerfulness of a positive momentum among the team, because it allowed the front end and the back end to have more dialogue, and also really appreciate their roles. And during this time, we also actually had some folks to step up and say, you know what, I would like to run the machine. Perfect timing. So it's just how you take your company and create that culture in a very positive during these critical times. This is where you see your team, your strengths and weaknesses, and where those weaknesses can be brought up just within the same team. So it's really powerful. So, as far as human resources, we did not lay anyone off. For personnel reasons, I let one go, but I hired two. Whereas other companies were, slowing down, I gained them. So it's been good. And all I could say is that during this time, treat your people right, with due respect. And if you don't give them the right tools, they can't perform.
I've got a comment on that. To me, culture, and I do a lot of speaking and traveling. I talk about culture. I spend 50% of my time building culture in my company. A lot of times people don't understand what that means. Part of that is making sure employees understand what right looks like, making sure they understand what their job responsibilities are, and then making sure they have all the right resources to do their job. And what I find as I talk to fabricators over the past 4 months, particularly, the companies that had culture, the companies that already had a team that believed in the management, right, were able to get through the first part of this pandemic a lot easier because they trusted the management team. And there were many companies out there, and again, this is unique for everybody, and there's some real fears out there, so don't take this the wrong way, but there are many companies that were challenged because of that, maybe because they just didn't have the right culture fit pre-COVID-19. So I think it's a good lesson for all of us to take back, is really focus on your employees all the time.
Very good. We felt the same and did the same thing, Jeffrey, because it's one of those things that if you don't have a culture up front, if you don't have a vision of your owners, okay, and your owners have to be able to provide that vision, and it's different for each company because the owner is a different entity. He may have a different vision. So if the employees don't know that vision and can't bank into that vision, it's very difficult for a company to not be fearful, not have the thought that, oh my goodness, where's my job going? How about the thing that we're looking at is was there any subcontractors in our company? We're always looking for not new employees, but for employees. You're always looking for the next person that's going to be your shining star, maybe inside or maybe outside. But with the amount of unemployment today, there's been a big challenge because many future employees are looking at the funds that the federal government is putting into unemployment and saying, well, I don't know if I want to go to work. Have anybody had any experience with not having people apply or having a little bit of difficulty trying to get additional new people?
I'll start. We have not had that problem here in Chicago. We did about a year and a half ago convert. We have 20 install teams, and we took half of those and converted them to subcontractors. And during this, while our business was down, we obviously gave more. We had our own employees staffed, and so we gave less to our subcontractors, and so that was a big help for us. And our subcontractors work for other folks as well, so they were doing okay. But it is a little bit of a philosophy change, but it worked.
Right. Laura, how about you?
Oh, we have not heard that, but I have heard within the geographic area here that some did lay off, some fabricators did lay off some folks, and some of the same line that you were saying, that they felt that their unemployment, they were getting more money than what their actual weekly pay was. But I think that from a national, I think that's another level of another crisis. As far as from an employment standpoint, you got 40 million people unemployed with all sections of the diversification of specialties. But I think from a fabrication standpoint, either you don't hire those people back into your group because, again, we're very team cultured. So it might be a bad apple that you're bringing in with that kind of attitude. So it, again, like what Jeff says, you have to begin with the culture at the top.
Blake?
Sorry, I've got a little bit slow connection, so I missed kind of the question, but I would agree exactly with the culture component of it. Culture is a huge part of an organization.
And I don't want to take away. I mean, I think we have to, to be a good leader, you have to be able to put yourselves in somebody else's shoes. So take one of your fabricators, maybe one of your install helpers, and maybe they're making, somewhere between $15 and $20 an hour, and it could be scary. Maybe they're, taking care of, of somebody in their family that has a compromised health condition or older people. So there's more to it than just that, right? And I think as managers and leaders, we need to be very sensitive to that. But again, it goes back to, if your team trusts you, right? It's a lot easier to navigate through these challenges.
I agree totally. One of the big aspects of employment and human resources is that you create an environment that people trust the managers that are performing. But at the same time, we need to constantly be aware that the new employees or the like you said, a helper in an install team, he really should be looking to become an installer. His goal, we want people who want to move up and to take on more responsibilities. In all three of our locations, people have moved around quite a bit, in moving up and having specific directions different and changing their positions to some degree. So it's our goal as managers to always have an opportunity for our employees to move in and move up.
You want to give people careers, not jobs, and they need to understand what that career could look like, right? So for us, we have a very well-defined process. If you come in not knowing anything about our industry as a polisher, right, and then you work your way through our shop, and then you eventually work to become an installer helper, and then you can work to become an installer, and then eventually you can work to become a field measurer. That's the career path for us. And people come in knowing that from day one, and I think that certainly helps in terms of when we're talking about retaining employees and even finding employees. People like to have a career. Nobody likes to bounce around.
I wonder too if it's worth mentioning. I mean, you know, there's a lot of navigation that is happening right now through this COVID and through how to handle HR issues and people calling in sick. I couldn't imagine handling that without an actual HR, you know, a department or a person that runs that. I mean, if you're a smaller company without that designated and dedicated resource, there's a lot of availability of, you know, NSI locally. There's a lot of resources out there to help navigate some of these HR COVID that are specific to COVID issues, because it's a huge burden.
There is
to navigate all this.
And there are HR companies out there that's all that they do. But if you're a smaller firm, you know, sometimes you don't have the resources or the funds to go pay an HR person. And typically at that point too, you're maybe getting somebody that's a generalist, maybe not an HR specialist. So Blake, I think you're exactly right. You know, if you don't have an HR function, go out into the market and go find a company that will do that for you. You pay them by the, you know, you pay them by the employee, and it's really a great program.
Well, thanks a lot. Go ahead, Laura. Laura, you muted.
Sorry. I would just add that you should out there look at and inquire with your insurance companies. You may pay a little more higher premium, but it's, you know, an HR, that's what I use. And there's attorneys, legal advice. Of course, I have my own legal counsel that helps me on other issues if I need to. But your insurance is really a good advocate and good guide to giving you direction, especially on the COVID. Like, you know, if someone's not feeling good, and then, you know, do you pay them the 14 days? You know, you bring in a notice, but they kind of lead you in the right path.
Right.
I think that's been our biggest challenge, is just navigating a lack of employees that are not showing up because of COVID related issues, and just not having enough staff to meet the workload that the market is demanding right now. So
one of the things most of our companies need to at least recognize as we're going forward, and then we'll move on to the next session, is that, you know, it's quite possible we could all get somebody COVID positive and then they're out for quite a while. And if it spreads around the company, you could actually be you really need to start planning for those types of situations. It happened in one of our companies, not to a serious degree, but it did happen that we did have some COVID cases, and it's some of our employees were out for a couple of weeks. So with that said, let's move on. Aaron, I know we'll move into the next session, and we have another sponsor that we'd like to do, and this one is water treatment. And Brett and Aaron, if you want to go with that. Okay. We're going to do another poll question, but and Aaron will pop that up in just a second. And it's how are you currently selling to customers? Select all that apply. While you're doing that, I just want to remind everybody about the virtual trade show that will be going on after this session. And so please get with our sponsors. You'll actually be able to talk directly with them through the virtual trade show. So please make a note after this if you have any questions with any of the sponsors in the supplies they handle, please contact them in that virtual trade show. So the next session is going to be on mainly in the selling and customers and how we're working in the new environment of COVID and the pandemic, and how we change or not change our company and our sales techniques. One of the things that we have come up with or seen is that customers in our industry many years ago, here we go, 60% showroom, 64% do virtual, and 24 do visualizers. The virtual meeting, the 64%, look, that's a huge change over the last 4 months with the COVID environment. And that's a topic we're going to address in just a minute. But one of the things that we noticed is that our companies or our industry is no longer a emerging industry. We've been around in countertops and in natural stone and quartz and all the other products for a while now, and customers have seen our products. Okay, even if you're a first-time customer that hasn't had granite or marble in their homes, they've seen it in hotels and in lobbies and their friends' homes and so forth. So it's not a new product to them anymore. So it's not nearly as much of a touchy-feely product that it was 5 and even 10 years ago or 40 years ago when I started. But I don't want to go any further than that. It's more than 40, but I don't want to go anywhere. Okay. But nevertheless, it's nowhere near. I don't want to call it a commodity because it's a regal product. It's royal. It's a noble product. But it is a product that people are familiar with and therefore are more apt to be sold in a virtual platform like this. And in our companies, we are creating a true virtual platform right now. We do use Zoom, and we do have customers that we can walk them in, they'll be on the Zoom. We walk them out and show them the slabs, in the yard. We can send them, and one of the most important things is having interactive software to where, we actually send them the proposal while we're on the Zoom screen with them. They can actually sign it. We take the screen back, and then we actually can go through a full sale virtual, just like we're talking here. In addition to that, they have visualizers, and there's many visualizers on the market, and some of them are really great. So where you could take the material and show the customer what it would look like in their home, okay, which is a huge asset for that customer to see a product that they're looking at on the virtual platform. So those are some of the new things that we're going on with. And we also have basically 3 methods of selling. We emphasize this in our companies greatly. And the 3 methods are very simple. We either do in-home sales where we send a consultant out to the home, a salesperson, and they consult and get the contract there. We do in the showroom, of course. I mean, we always allow people in the showroom. We talk about how our showrooms are going to be acting in the COVID era, and then also the online showroom. Okay, so that's the 3 things. So from our webpage, we're designing a way for our webpage to get us into one of those 3 actions, because if we're not looking to capture that customer in those 3 ways, it's pretty tough to make a sale if you don't have that going for you. Right now, I'll turn it over to Blake. We will start with you. Can you kind of tell us how you guys are doing it and where you're going with it and how much progress you're seeing in virtual?
Sure, thank you, GK. And I think a lot of this is really based on your demographic and where you are. Higher population, I think that here in Utah, we have a lot of rural areas that people aren't afraid to come into a showroom. Most of what we do right now, we really try to target a direct business-to-business model where we're selling, directly to new builds or directly to contractors, but obviously about 30% of our business has to be walk-in and retail work. Currently, we have everything online as far as our inventory, our kitchen visualizers, and that spurs a lot of people to walk in the door. A lot of those online sales turn into walk-in customers. The precautions we've been taking through this pandemic are masks, hand wash stations, postings on the floor, postings everywhere, and a lot of those precautions. But as far as a virtual meeting and closing the deal, we have not. We still have that one-on-one interaction in most instances.
Right. How about you, Laura?
Yes, we always had by appointment only, but always it was open door for a customer coming in. And during the beginning of March, we basically started having by appointment only, and we still continue that. And I think that, we also tried the virtual tours, and a lot of them are these custom homes where you're doing maybe 20 rooms and the client and interior design team or architect want to come in and actually touch and feel, do color. So for us, the virtual hasn't been as, I thought it would take off, but it really has been more the appointment session. But I think it really goes with your geographic area and also what your business model is. But I think if anything, you hit it right on the nose where our industry is no longer an emerging market. It is now where natural stone, whether you've got to be ahead of the trend, we're taking granite out in some cases and we're replacing it with a quartzite. But I think the more your teams are educated on the different facets of the natural stone capacities, ultra compact has natural stone ingredients in it, but I think that's where the evolution of our industry is going to be even more forward. So again, I think it's the showroom visits have a good play for you to bring in those trending things inside your showroom or your virtual applications, just as all of you have expressed.
Right, Jeffrey.
So we immediately pivoted in March and we modified our website, GK, like you said you're going to do, and we now have 3 options. One is a virtual consultation, and if they click on any one of these buttons, by the way, it goes to a calendar system, and they can pick their date and time, and it's scheduled all right there. Of course, we will still do an in-home consultation, right? Depends on what the customer wants. And then we will also do consultations in our showroom, but what's a little bit different about it is that they are completely private and only one customer at a time. So it's about safety of our employees. It's about the safety and comfort, of the customers that are coming in. And at this point, we allow the customer to pick which option they want. It's worked out really, really well for us. And I will tell you, I, like Laura, thought that virtual consultations would be our #1. It is growing. It takes a little bit of time. And part of that is you have to get your sales staff used to it. It's new for them as well. And you have to get them comfortable. You cannot come in today and say, hey guys, starting now, we're going to start doing virtual tours and virtual sales. You have to teach them how it works, right? How do you do it with Zoom? How does the customer take their phone and show you what their kitchen looks like? And so it's a little bit of a process, but once you get to it, I think people get pretty comfortable. I mean, I think most of us on this call, probably many of us had not had a Zoom or a GoToMeeting or a virtual call before COVID-19, and now we do it every single day, and it's second nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what Zoom was. I thought it was something to go real fast there until COVID came about. And now I'm a big proponent of it, and I push it on our teams every day.
Really quick, I'd be curious to hear. We've had issues with our outside sales managers reluctant to go and do outside sales calls, and so they've gotten really creative with virtual, video messaging and things like that. Has everyone else experienced that? I mean, the #1, is that making sense what I'm asking?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. I mean, listen, I still have all of my office staff. We have about 40-something people all working from home. And so we're really not interested in having vendors come to our facility, but we're 100% interested in meeting with our vendors, right? I can't do my business without my vendors. So being creative like that, doing Zoom calls with them, sending, emails and getting people's attention for new customers and business development, I think is a spot on smart idea.
Yeah. One of the things, Blake, that we've done, our sales managers are making test sales. Like our sales manager, she'll have each of our outside salespersons once a week or so. She'll be the customer and she'll call in so that they can get trained for the virtual calls, and to where it's clear and easy for people to handle. I mean, our virtual meeting today, I was really afraid of it because I'm an in-person person, and at least I could see you 4 guys. Y'all are nice guys to look at anyway. But the reality to it is that the salesperson has to get comfortable with virtual before they can make that customer comfortable with virtual. Okay, so the whole part of this is to make it easy for the customer. And easy, if you don't make it easy for your sales staff or your customer service staff, it's going to be difficult for the customer to relate. So those are the things that when you talk about training and not wanting to be face-to-face, they have to be comfortable with the platform you're on, that they can perform their duties, you know?
And that's a great idea, GK, to role play that amongst salespeople so they're comfortable with that.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, any other questions, Jeff, Laura, Blake, on this topic?
My only comment would be, just like anytime something new happens, right? Don't be afraid. You need to jump in and really kind of explore it. And I'll speak for myself, but if anybody wants help who's on this call, feel free to email me, and I'm happy to walk you through kind of what we do and how we've gotten there.
Right. The other thing, when you're doing virtual calls like we're doing right now, many of the companies, I know Zoom does, that's who we happen to use, but make sure that you get the recordings, because they record this conversation every day that you may be having. It can be even intercompany. Like we have several companies and we'll have meetings between the companies in the Zoom platform. They're recorded so that they're also become training sessions for your own people. So that when you're on a Zoom call with one of our sales managers, we've got that recorded to train the next salesperson. So make sure you keep those recordings, organize them, put them on your drivers, and have a education venue for those employees. Okay, we're going to move into the next special sponsor, and this one's going to be Laser Products and Baca.
Hi, I'm Chuck Russo, CEO of Baca Systems. The Baca team is very excited to introduce the next generation sawjet solution for the market. The Robolution Pro is available from Baca Systems. It has total mitering capability with the jet and the blade. It's equipped with advanced software features to be able to cut the hardest materials in the market and compensating for warped material or thickness variation to get perfect miters. The Robolution has the largest cutting table in the market. It's 90 inches by 144 inches, allowing us to handle the largest slabs in the industry. The Robolution Pro also allows us to do all the mitering with the blade and the jet, doing inside corners and cutting a lot of the different materials today that are being introduced into the industry. Bacchus Systems has over 400 robo saw jets installed in North America. Bacchus Systems continues to invest in technology, people, and facilities to meet our customer needs. We're driven to provide legendary customer service and support, and today Bacchus Systems offers a family of machines, from cutting systems, from 5-axis CNC saws to robot-based cutting systems, to edging, polishing systems, filtration, dedicated mitering machines. Bacchus Systems has a family of machines to meet fabricators' needs all across North America. We would be very excited to have anyone visit Bacchus Systems to come in and learn more about the solutions we have that significantly increase customers' profitability and the safety of their operations. Come visit Bacchus Systems.
Thank you. We appreciate our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible. And we'd also like to thank the Natural Stone Institute and Stone World. What I'd like to do is have some final comments, and if we want to start with Blake, any final comments on our session today?
Sure. Again, thank you for attending. This is great. This is a new experience for a lot of people. I think the doing this virtually, but it's exciting to connect people from across the world. And I think, you know, if you're struggling with knowing how to navigate this, it's like we were talking about HR. HR is one of those things that, how do you know when you're supposed to have an in-house HR? There's help out there. There's resources. Jeffrey's great. Laura's great. GK's great. All these. There's a lot of great business owners out there that are willing to share their knowledge and their expertise. I don't feel like you're alone in this industry. It's a great industry to be in. It's nice to see this industry maturing, and it's an exciting thing to be moving forward and going forward in the industry.
Thanks. Laura.
Yes, thanks to each of you for the privilege of your time, and stay passionate of what you're doing in this industry. We've got an amazing industry and all the different organizations, Stone World, Natural Stone Institute. And again, if I make myself available to any of you. All right, so thank you, and continue on. Keep your heads up.
Great. Jeff.
I would just tell you all, you know, continue to lead by example, continue to motivate, continue to innovate. And not only will you get out of this pandemic, but you will come out of this bigger, better, stronger, right? Reduce chaos out of your system. Your employees will be happy, and good things to come.
Great. The only final remark I'll have for this particular session is that, you know, in the 48 years that I've been in the natural stone industry, I have been through so many catastrophic events, from the 1987 downturn that lasted for about not even a year to the 2008. I mean, every time I think our industry is just getting ready to explode again, some world event happens that changes our positioning. So being flexible is critical in our industry. And I hope that everybody understands that what we're going through today, we'll get to the other side of it if we plan and understand that this is just the next step, and we have to work in this goal. I used to always say, I don't really care what the government does, just do one thing and I'll adjust to it, okay? So the same thing with pandemics or anything. I'm not really care, let's just adjust to it. I'd like to remind everybody on the call today, though, that we have another hour and a half tomorrow, and that one will be aimed more towards the back of the shop on fabrication and installation, how we're handling those situations, as today was handled about the front end of the facility. So I really want to thank everybody. We've had a great panel. You guys have just done a really great job for us in education. And now we would like to kind of turn it over to the question and answer session. And Aaron or Mark, I'm not sure if y'all have any questions or answers at this time that we can address.
Yeah, we've got a few questions, GK. Hey, first one is from Kevin, asking about the slides on hiring and recruiting, and how do you get referrals from your good employees? What methods are you guys using?
Well, I'll take that one to start. Well, I think first of all, again, if you go back to, I continue to always go back to culture, but if you create a great place for people to work, the best compliment is your existing employees will want their friends and family and acquaintances to work. And for us, we always like to have incentives. So what we personally do is that if you refer an employee to us or a lead and we hire that person and they stay on for 90 days and then they become what we call a productive member of society, right? Then not only does that new employee get a referral bonus, the employee who gave us the referral gets a referral bonus. It's just a nice way of saying thank you. And I think we probably fulfill 30% of our open roles through that process.
Anybody else have any tools you use? Want to comment?
Yeah, I would echo the same thing. We do something very similar. You want to be known as the exclusive and the premier employer of choice in your area, and that's a cultural thing. That's a mindset. We also do something very similar where we actually, I think we're doing 3 or 4 installments now based on the length of time that new hire is on, for the referring employee, and then we just have a little form that we have our employees fill out, and then we call them up and they submit a resume, and that's how we track who referred what potential new hire candidate. So.
One of the things that might be effective today with attracting or getting new employees is constantly looking for them, not, hiring a little bit of a redundancy, having a few more people than you may normally have, just so that you're able to promote or increase somebody along the way because they've performed. But everybody's right. I mean, if you have the culture in your company that it becomes a career, as Jeff said, then there'll be people that'll show up for you.
Well, maybe one additional thing really quick that we have done is seek out temporary agencies, and what we've done is negotiate with these temp agencies different ways to we've negotiated with them so that even a new hire will go to a temp, so we don't have to give them a full onboarding and go through all that process. And then their manager refers them and they get them in a bi-monthly, we just have a twice a month, the onboarding session. But that way a manager can hire a referral tomorrow if they want to. And they just go to the temp agency, they show up as a temp employee. And it's been a great tool for us to be able to get somebody hired immediately without having to onboard them and go through all the safety and the HR, and then finally decide that, hey, it's really not going to work or it's going to work. Just a great tool to transition from a new hire to a full-time employee.
Hey, GK, another question we got was from Egon. You guys spoke about building a positive culture in your team, and one example was the communicating the company or leader's vision. Any other tips you guys can share?
Well, let me take first that one, if you don't mind, Jeff. Several years ago, we decided that in all 3 of our companies, we kind of forced our owners to come up with a vision of what their vision is for the company, not a mission statement. Mission statements are all, funny, but we forced them to come up with visions, and all 3 companies owners came up with a little bit different vision. But the catch is how do we treat our employee as they go out to a customer or internal, how does that employee treat that customer with empathy and understanding and so forth. What we also recognized in there was that each position in our company has a customer, and they have to supply information to, and then they have to receive information. So for example, I'll just use a measurer. A measurer is customer internal, in our facility is our CAD operator, who has to draw what that measurer brings back to him. In addition to that, he has to bring the information back to the salesperson. So the customer for that measurer is our CAD operator and our salesperson. So if he brings back garbage information to our CAD operator, the problem starts right there going forward. Now, on the other side, that measurer has someone that supplies him, and that's the salesperson. So in every job or every position in our company, you have a supplier and you have a customer. So, and each position is also a supplier and a customer. So that builds that team that we were talking about, and that relationship. If we understand that when we pass off our portion of a job to one of our existing employees or our other team members, they have to have all of the information. Don't just pass it off thinking, oh, well, they'll figure it out somewhere down the line. So it's real important that you have that team concept. And in order to do that, you need to have meetings that your employees understand that team concept.
I agree 100%. I think transparency is one of the most critical things to building trust in your team. And how do you lead a team of individuals to what you've defined as, let's say, the promised land, if they don't know where they're going, if they don't know how to get there? So part of it is you have to start with, does everybody know what their role is? Does everybody know what you expect or your managers expect from them? And then do they have all the resources to be successful? When somebody leaves your shop and goes home and talks to their friends or their family or significant other, and they ask the question, how was your day? How did you do today? They need to come back and be able to answer that honestly. I did great today, overachieved my goals, or you know what? I fell a little bit short, but I'm going to do better tomorrow. And when your employees feel empowered, right, and they understand, I think we've all probably been in this situation. We've been thrown into something and we didn't really have clear direction and we didn't really know what to do. And it's frustrating. So now put yourself in the shoes of your employees and make sure that you don't frustrate them. I think another key thing is giving some sort of data to your team to let them know how the company's doing. I'm not saying you need to give them full financials, but whether you give them some sort of daily productivity score or give them some of the metrics that you want to track, it will help them understand how they're doing and what their impact is on your company. I think so many owners fall short, right? They're afraid to give that information. And let me just give you a news flash for all the owners out there that are on this call. Your employees already think you make a ton of money. So you might as well show them how the company's actually doing and how they can actually help you make more money, which ultimately helps them make more money, right? I always talk about discounting is the direct enemy of profitability. And if an employee doesn't do their job correctly and ultimately ends up in a customer experience that is less than what they expected, guess what? They're going to ask for money back. And if you made 10% earnings on that job, right, and you gave a 5% discount, guess what? You just took your overall earnings and discounted it by 50%. So make sure your employees know what they need to do. That's about building culture.
Yeah, I think I would agree with Jeffrey that, all broken relationships are a result of conflicting roles and goals. If you don't know where we're going and who's responsible for what, there's the confusion is a result. I know for us, the best thing that we ever did was implement systems like Jeffrey is talking about, and started, and that's the best thing that did for our culture. We've spent lots of money on consultants coming in, but the best thing was, just implementing, the EOS models and things like that. And we actually implemented the EOS model about a year and a half ago, and we liked it so much as a company that I started doing it personally with my family, and just having weekly meetings and holding my kids accountable to their scorecards and things like that. So that's been the best thing for our company to develop this culture and develop these expectations like Jeffrey and GK have talked about.
I think we have another question. We want to move on. Mark, do you have another one?
Yeah, this one will probably be a good lead-in and promo for tomorrow. From Jim, he asks, what special precautions are you taking with your install teams, keeping them and the homeowners safe?
Laura.
Yes. So we provide to our clients a letter that is signed by myself. And if the installers are going to the homeowner's home or a commercial application, everyone is temperature gauged in the morning. They sign a document that is scanned to the client that they're going to go visit. So it's been, as far as safety, we begin our day by disinfecting, and that is also disinfecting their tools. So from a morale standpoint, it's been really good. The previous question is culture, and I agree with every one of the panelists who have given their input. But a culture will be, you could begin it as simple of just bringing together your team in the morning and cleaning their toolboxes, disinfecting. I mean, you know, and if I'm there with them, they know that it's important, you know, but the safety, it has been really, at first it was a little tricky during the COVID because it's all new. But what we found, a lot of our leaders, our large architects and interior design groups, we grouped together and actually came up with the process, like when we go to a job site, is there going to be a station for them? And if anybody wants information on that, I have some really good pictures that I have been able to be part of just here in our community and how they touch less. And there was a situation where one of our big sites, it was a pharmaceutical company to boot, and somebody was positive. And so for that, because of that experience, it allowed the whole team from the doctors to go back and really come to our level and say, how do we protect the workers coming on site? So it's really critical, but bottom line, it begins with you as the leader. If you're not an owner, but you're the team lead of your organization, it begins with you. So roll up your sleeve, show them how important that safety is and the safety and health of their well-being.
Yeah, I'll just add to that couple small things. So what we know today, and I clarify today because it could change tomorrow, is that if you're 6 feet away and you're in contact with somebody, you know, for less than 15 minutes, you know, the chances of getting the disease is very, very low. So for us, what we do is, of course, everybody's wearing masks. And I would tell you this, masks now are part of your everyday apparel. And so we went out and we got branded masks in 2 different colors. So every employee got 2 different masks that we bought, and they were nicer and they're cloth, and they have adjustable headbands and they can wash them. And yes, they were a little bit more expensive, but they're wearing it every single day. Okay. And then what we do is we let the customer know in advance, hey, we're going to be there in 15 minutes. We're going to spend a few minutes going over your project. And then my partner and I are going to install your countertops, and we'd like you to be in a different part of your house. And then when we're done, or if we have a question, we'll reach out to you. So we've really minimized, you know, I think we've all been there where the homeowner's looking over your shoulder while you're doing the install, and we've just eliminated that, right?
Sure. Did we have another question, Aaron or Mark?
Yeah, last one from Jim. And Laura brought up architects and designers. What's been your experience working with them? Are you able to meet face to face, or is virtual working out? And then on top of that, what tools are you using that are the most effective? And what new tools are you guys had to learn?
Well, I'll take that call. Yes, we're actually doing mostly Zoom calls with the architects, unless we know that they're scheduled coming in. But I can tell you, everyone walking in, no question, they're wearing their mask. You can't even get in the facility or the client site without wearing that. So we have not had any issues at all.
Great.
I think as far as tools, we found that our Microsoft Teams works very well for those virtual meetings, and that's what our salespeople are using, is Microsoft Teams and then the FaceTime on their phones. That's probably the 2 biggest things that we're using to go virtually. Zoom is one that we haven't used in our company. We've used it, you know, in other places, but that's one that we just, the Microsoft Teams and FaceTime has worked well.
Jeff, you had anything with that one?
No, we also use GoToMeeting as well. So we have all 4 components that we use, and partly just because some people are used to different softwares. So we'll ask them which one they want to use, and then we'll send them any one of them.
Oh, good. Yeah, we're using Zoom right now, and because it's fast and it goes quick. But nevertheless, we're doing that. We're also trying to integrate the website, the chat sites that are interactive, where you answer. You know, if you hit chat in our in the future, not right now, but it's in the process of being developed right now. But if you hit chat, you actually have an 8-to-8 person in our company answering that chat right there, and not a robot saying we'll get back to you in you know, by tomorrow or so forth. You know, so there's some real good tools out there right now that are driving search engine optimization up and so forth. Many good companies out there. Anything else, Mark?
That's it for the question today, GK.
Okay. Well, Aaron, I think we'll turn it back over to you. Again, tomorrow we will address more of the back shop installation safety precautions and fabrication safety precautions, and also silica exposure safety, along with production issues and opportunities. So, Aaron, I think it's back to you, and we can move on to the sponsors sections.
Yes, thank you, GK. I want to thank all the panelists today. This was an amazing discussion, and I think we all should virtually give them a round of applause for everything that they did. So thank you very much. Much like GK said, tomorrow's day 2. We are going to do the discuss the fabrication facility. We're also going to discuss installation practices. So if you're interested in that and you haven't done so already, please register. If you have registered, you should get an email with the unique link for tomorrow pretty soon. You can always also just go to the registration link right on time, register, and you'll be right in the show. Today, we're doing our first ever virtual trade show. In the chat box, you will see the virtual trade show. I have a display of that trade show. So much like GK said, go right to the sponsors or right to a person and talk to them live. If you click on these different windows, you will go speak with representatives from those companies, or at least go to their websites. Much like we said earlier, the first cup of coffee is on us. If you go to the different shows, we will send you a cup of coffee afterwards. And finally, after this session, you will have a survey. This is the first time we're doing a virtual Stone Summit, and we want to learn as much as possible from you. What type of format's best for you? What type of topics do you want to hear in the future? Because we plan to continue the virtual education in the interim until we can get back on site, but also in addition to on site in the future. So I want to thank the panel. We look forward to seeing everybody at the virtual trade show here in a few minutes. And if you have any questions or need anything, please feel free to contact us. And we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, GK. Great job. Be safe, everybody.
Thanks.